Greetings, taxable assets. Or, as the Departmento prefers to classify you, collateral damage. This is Senior Auditor Valerius Krauss, processing liability file number 88 Alpha. Keep your audio receptors clear and your complaints filed directly into the incinerator where they belong. We are here to balance the books of the 41st millennium, a task made monumentally more difficult by the sheer volume of civilian incompetence I am forced to audit.
As senior auditor, the recording cogitator is active. The readout indicates we are live.
I am aware we are live, Scribe. Do not state the obvious, or I will have you reassigned to a sewage reclamation detail on Necromunda. Is that clear?
Perfectly, sir. My apologies.
Citizens, a recent audit of your engagement records shows a significant and frankly insulting deficit in your spiritual tithe. As of this moment, you've been placed on a mandatory payment plan. Your debt is to be settled in likes and subscribes. Immediately.
Sir, the payment method.
I am indifferent to how you secure these funds. Recruit a friend via the share button to meet your quota for all I care. Failure to comply is, well, let's just call it fiscally irresponsible. Now, Scribe, what is the nature of the financial liability sitting on my desk? It smells of optimism. I hate optimism.
It is a civilian report, sir. An upload from the contractor known as Auspex Tactics. The file is titled, How to Start a Blood Raven's Army. It appears to be a guide for having fun collecting Space Marines in the current edition.
Fun. Disgusting. The civilian contractor has sent us this garbage, this gloss-brained propaganda intended to bankrupt the Imperium's already strained logistical reserves. He thinks starting an army is about collecting. Yeah. About a narrative journey.
It does seem to emphasize the lore, sir.
We know better. The fiscal year 2026, starting an army is a forensic accounting exercise. It is about return on investment. It is about maximizing damage output per credit spent. Now open the ledger, Scribe. Let's see how deep this movement deficit goes. Read the first entry from the Auspex file, the so-called narrative justification.
Yes, sir. Accessing. The source states, the Blood Ravens are a chapter of Space Marines, not one of the main Legion First founding-style chapters like the Ultramarines, but instead are a successor chapter with their own heraldry and fighting style.
Pedestrian, but accurate enough. Continue. Where does the civilian's logic begin to fail?
He notes that their origin is shrouded in secrecy and that it's really quite heavily implied in the lore that they could well be a loyalist chapter of Thousand Sons' genetic lineage. The traitor legion of Magnus the Red.
Dot, right there. Thousand Sons. Magnus. Do you hear that, citizen? That is the sound of a civilian wasting my time with heretical gossip.
But the lore hints are quite strong, sir. The number of psychers, their thirst for knowledge.
The Departmento Analytica does not care about your genetic fan fiction. We don't care about hints. Whether they are sons of Magnus or sons of a spilled petri dish is completely, utterly irrelevant to the bottom line. It's a waste of cognitive resources debating it.
So their origin has no bearing.
None. It's heretical gossip that doesn't balance the books. It doesn't put more armor on the field or more shots downrange. What matters, Scribe, is the asset acquisition strategy, the methodology. Continue. What does the file say about their reputation?
The source continues, sir. It's their search for lore and lost relics that's led them to have a bit of a reputation for thievery and acquiring other chapters' relics.
A bit of a reputation. Understatement. Go on.
He says, it's pretty common to see memes about Blood Ravens stealing stuff. And there's really quite a lot of specific examples in their armory of different relics that very much sound like they belong to other chapters. He calls it the Magpie meme.
The Magpie meme. Civilians, they look at the Blood Ravens requisitioning, gifting themselves equipment, and they laugh. They think it's a personality quirk, a funny little character trait.
It is a popular joke online, sir.
Let me correct the record for everyone listening. Based on the Unified Field Report, the reputation for thievery is not a joke. It is not lore. It is a logistical necessity for the fiscal year 2026.
A necessity, sir. But surely they could just request supplies through proper channels.
Proper channels. From whom, Scribe? From where? Look at the supply lines. Games Workshop's retail distribution network has utterly failed this chapter. They do not have a dedicated codex supplement. They do not have a dedicated Blood Ravens box set that functions in the current tabletop economy.
So there's nothing for them.
Precisely. If you want to build this army, you cannot simply walk into a manufactorum outlet and buy Blood Ravens. You must steal. You must adopt the Magpie doctrine not because it is funny, but because it is the only way to survive the audit.
I see. You mean the models themselves, the actual plastic kits?
Exactly. To build a loyalist Blood Raven force in this era, one must paradoxically raid the armories of other, better-supplied factions. You want their heavy infantry. You must buy the Death Watch Combat Patrol. You want their fast attack plasma support. You must raid the Dark Angels Combat Patrol. You are not a collector. You are a fence for stolen goods.
So the narrative has become the reality of purchasing the army.
The narrative of theft has become the retail reality.
Yeah.
If you are not stealing assets from the Dark Angels and the Death Watch, you are not building Blood Ravens. You are just burning currency on generic, inefficient plastic. Now, proceed to the next fiscal era. What does the civilian suggest regarding procurement, specifically combat patrols?
The report says, typically you'd be collecting a relatively straightforward space chapter, buying models.
Yeah.
You're basically collecting Space Marines. He suggests that since there are no specific Blood Ravens boxes, new collectors won't be confused by the options, he mentions. Oh, dear.
Read it, scribe. Don't mumble. Spit it out.
He says civilians see Blood Ravens, they buy Blood Angels boxes.
Penny stock violence. This is exactly why the spiritual tithe is in deficit across the board. Civilians look at the name on the box. Oh, look, it says Blood Angels. My army is the Blood Ravens. Both have the word blood. I shall purchase this. It is a financial landmine, an absolute catastrophe waiting to happen.
But sir, surely the Blood Angels box contains useful assets. They're both Astartes. There must be some crossover.
It contains a keyword trap that will shatter your logistical spine. Refer to the Unified Field Report, Section 4.2, the sanguinary spearhead error. Scribe, for the benefit of the fiscally illiterate, tell the court what is inside the 2024 edition of the Blood Angels Combat Patrol.
According to the manifest, it contains 10 assault intercessors, a Primaris captain, and 6 sanguinary guard.
Sanguinary guard. Distinctive models. Very angelic. Very gold. Very useless. Now, explain the Marnius Calgar keyword trap for my audit. Be precise.
The audit states that if you want to run the subject A list, the theory list, using Calgar's rules to represent a chapter master like Gabriel Angelo's, you are locked to the Ultramarines keyword.
Correct. This is crucial for the listener. To run the big hero, the chapter master, you must use the Ultramarines rule set to access Calgar's datasheet. That gives your entire army the faction keyword Ultramarines. Now, scribe, look at the Sanguinary Guard datasheet. What faction keyword do they possess?
They possess the Blood Angels keyword, sir.
And can you field a unit with the Blood Angels keyword in an army that contains the Ultramarines keyword? Can you do that, scribe?
The rules of 10th edition, they forbid it. You cannot mix faction keywords from divergent chapters in the same detachment.
Exactly. The deficit is absolute. You cannot field Calgar and Sanguinary Guard in the same list. So if a civilian, guided by this Auspex document, walks into a store and buys that Blood Angels box because of the name, they have just wasted approximately 170 standard Terran credits on plastic they cannot legally field in their army.
So the Sanguinary Guard,
They are a sunk cost, a monument to illiteracy. They have purchased a deficit. They assume names matter more than keywords. This is why we audit. We are saving them from their own poor judgment.
That is distressingly efficient, Auditor. The Auspex report then moves on to suggest a sample army list. He calls it a balanced force.
Balanced, the refuge of the indecisive. The mantra of those who want to be good at everything and are masters of nothing. Read the manifesto. What does this theoretical army contain?
He suggests a counts as Ultramarines list. It features a chapter master, a Gabriel Angelos proxy, using Marnius Calgar's rules, as you noted. It also includes a chief librarian, using Tigurius's rules, and a unit of Stern Guard veterans. He says it balances lore and rules.
Balance is for people who don't have Quatos. This list, this Subject A, as we have designated it in the Unified Field Report, it is a theoretical construct. It is a castle.
A castle, sir, as in a fortification.
Static formation.
Yeah.
A defensive huddle of units that are only good when they're all holding hands. It relies on stacking buffs, you see. You have Calgar for the extra command points. You have Tigurius for the -1 to hit aura. You have the Stern Guard for the shooting. It looks beautiful on a spreadsheet. I'm sure it does. But do you know what it requires on the actual battlefield, Scribe?
Superior positioning. Logistics.
It requires an immense pilot load, a cognitive burden. To run Subject A effectively, a commander must resolve approximately 21, maybe more, active resolutions per turn. Auras, command point generation, Tigurius's psychic hood, rerolls, defensive stratagems, the lone operative rule for the librarian, the Oath of Moment target.
21 resolutions. That seems high.
Very high.
It's unsustainable. It leads to what my report calls cognitive drift. The civilian commander forgets a trigger. They forget the -1 to hit. They mismeasure an aura. Their expensive unit dies because they were too busy trying to remember 3 other rules. They lose on points. The subject A list is a trap for the vanity of the user.
Vanity, sir.
Yes, they want to be a tactical genius, a hero, commanding heroes. But they lack the processing power to maintain the castle. The table is messy, the dice are loud, the clock is ticking, and the mental load breaks them.
What is the alternative? The Auspex report speaks very highly of this hero hammer approach. The alternative is Subject B, the optimized path. The Unified Field Report prioritizes ruthless datasheet efficiency over these flimsy synergy castles.
Datasheet efficiency.
A unit should be good because its datasheet says it is good, not because a wizard is standing next to it holding its hand. We want a low pilot load, approximately 9 resolutions per turn. Simple, effective, brutal. We want the commander to focus on the Pariah Nexus mission, deck scoring points, moving assets, not memorizing a spellbook. Subject B does not build a castle. Subject B is a wrecking ball.
I see. So you advocate for simpler, more powerful units.
I advocate for victory.
Yeah.
Moving on to weaponry. The Auspex report notes the standard Space Marine bolter. What does he say about it?
He says, S4 AP0, that's not a weapon. He seems to imply that the standard bolt gun is weak in the current meta.
For once, the civilian stumbles upon the truth, though he completely lacks the calculus to exploit it. He's right. Standard bolters are trash. They are a rounding error. Strength 4, AP 0. You might as well throw insults at a land raider. It will not wound. It is statistically insignificant.
Yeah, so we should avoid units with them.
No. You amateur. We optimize them. We force them to be efficient. This brings us to Section 4 of my report. The Lethal Hits Engine. This is the tactical heart of the Blood Ravens 2026 build. Scribe, identify the key assets for the Subject B list.
The Audit lists a unit of 6 Aggressors and 1 Apothecary Biologis.
The Aggressor squad plus the Biologist character. A marriage made in the forges of ruthless efficiency. Now, explain the math, Scribe. I want the listeners to understand the sheer fiscal power of this combination. What is the standard wound roll for a Strength 4 bolt weapon against, say, a Toughness 10 tank?
Strength 4 against Toughness 10, that's a difference of 6. That would require a roll of a 6 to wound, sir.
A 6. A 16.67% chance of success. Pitiful. Unacceptable. Now, apply the Biologist factor. The Apothecary Biologis character, when leading the unit, grants them the ability in lethal hits. Explain it.
Lethal hits. That means a hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target, bypassing the toughness check entirely.
Correct. We bypass the struggle, we bypass the armor, we bypass the enemy's strength, we go straight to the save. Now, add the aggressor's intrinsic ability, twin-linked.
The twin-linked rule on their Boltstorm gauntlets allows them to re-roll the wound roll.
No. Wrong data sheet. You're looking at the wrong weapon profile. Their ranged weapons are twin-linked. That means they re-roll the HIT roll. Stay focused, Scribe.
My apologies, sir. Re-rolling the hit roll, yes.
Do you see the engine now? The synergy. You are fishing for 6s on the hit roll. You have a high volume of shots, you roll the dice, you miss. You re-roll looking for a 6, you hit, but it's not a 6, that's fine. But every 6 you roll becomes an automatic wound. You are manufacturing wounds through sheer volume of fire and targeted re-rolls.
So a unit that should only be effective against light infantry
Suddenly deletes a land raider. It cripples a knight. This is gravis efficiency. It requires no complex aura overlaps. It requires no positioning of a chapter master. It is a brick of data that you point at an enemy asset and delete it from the ledger.
That sounds remarkably effective and violent.
Violence is just aggressive accounting, Scribe. And this brick of aggressors is the auditor of the battlefield. Sir, pardon the interruption, but there is a noise, an ambient disturbance. A noise? I am in the middle of a critical analysis.
Ventilation fan, sir. It's rattling again, and your recaf mug appears to be empty.
Blast this facility. The Departmento allocates trillions of credits to the Indomitus Crusade, and I cannot get a single ventilation fan that doesn't sound like a dying Grox. And this recaf, it tastes like Prometheum runoff that's been filtered through a guardsman's sock.
Shall I could file a maintenance request form. Form 77B, I believe.
No, leave it. The constant grinding inefficiency reminds me of the incompetence that surrounds us. Speaking of which, let us pivot to the civilians, the listeners of this broadcast.
The listeners, sir.
Yeah.
You wish to address them directly.
Yes, you. The one sitting there painting your happy little models, thinking you understand the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. You think you can do my job. You think combat patrols are just starter sets. You think they're toys. They're complex financial instruments with cascading keyword liabilities.
Sir, your volume is peaking on the cogitator.
I am issuing a formal challenge. I know you're out there typing on your little data slates. Actually, Auditor Krauss, I think the Sanguinary Guard look really cool, so I will buy them anyway. Fool. Submit your notice of disagreement in the comments section. I dare you to correct my audit regarding the Sanguinary Guard keyword lock. Go ahead. Try to justify that deficit.
Is that wise, sir?
Yeah.
To provoke them. They can be quite passionate.
It is necessary. There must be accountability. If this ledger, this very broadcast, receives 3 or more opposing opinions, I will authorize a mandatory follow-up audit by 2100 hours, Terran Standard Time, tomorrow. I will come back here and I will personally dismantle your flawed logic line by line. This is not a request, citizens. This is a threat.
And noted, sir. A threat. Returning to the Auspex Tactics file, if we may, before we escalate further, the report discusses procurement, the actual process of buying the model.
Yes, the civilian scavenger hunt. Go on.
Auspex suggests several boxes: the Dark Angels Combat Patrol, or the Leviathan starter set with Terminators, or the Vanguard Task Force. He also mentions using 3D printing or the secondhand market for specific characters.
Inefficient. The civilian is setting them on a wild goose chase without a map. Buy this box for 1 unit, maybe buy that box for another. Print this part. It is logistical chaos. We need order. We need the Unified Field Report, Section 6, the Procurement Paradox.
The Paradox Auditor.
We call the White Whale. Scribe, locate the file for the 2020 out-of-print Blood Angels Combat Patrol. Read the contents.
Found it. Contents: 1 Impulsor Transport, 5 Intercessors, 1 Primaris Librarian, and 3 Aggressors.
It was the perfect box. It had the transport for a mobile strategy. It had the Aggressors for the lethal hits engine. It had a librarian for the Blood Ravens theme. It was perfect. A moment of logistical clarity. Do you know where it is now?
It is. Out of print, sir. Unavailable.
Gone. Replaced by the sanguinary spearhead keyword trap we already dissected. This is the paradox. To build the perfect, most efficient army, you need a box that no longer exists. So we must execute the Frankenstein procurement strategy.
Frankenstein, as in stitching different parts together.
Precisely. To build Subject B, the lethal hits engine, you must ignore the name on the box. First, you must acquire the Death Watch Combat Patrol.
The Death Watch. But they are dedicated Xenos hunters. Their iconography is all wrong.
Irrelevant. Look at the Sprue Manifest. The box contains the 3 aggressors. It contains the Apothecary. That is the meat. That is the engine. Then you must acquire the Dark Angels Combat Patrol.
For the plasma weapons. For the Hellblasters.
No. For the Intercessors and the Inceptors. You take the red paint, and you paint over the heresy. You paint over the confusion. You stitch these 2 boxes together to create a loyalist, efficient force.
But, sir, the Apothecary. The report highlights a biologist scandal. This seems to be a major logistical hurdle.
Ah, yes, the biologist. The linchpin. The key to the lethal hits engine. Scribe, do me a favor. Check the current secondary market price for a single Apothecary Biologis model.
Checking the eBay subsector by the throne, it appears to be nearly 80 standard Terran credits for 1 infantry model.
80 credits for a single plastic soldier. Because he is not sold separately, he is locked away in expensive bundles or at the mercy of secondary market price gouging. This is a catastrophic market failure.
So we must pay the 80 credits. It seems there is no alternative.
Absolutely not. The Departmento Analytica forbids such waste. The audit solution is clear. Look at the Death Watch box again. What other character model does it contain?
It has a standard Primaris Apothecary, sir.
You will take that model. You will take a file and remove the Death Watch iconography. You will paint his helmet white. You will ensure he is mounted on a 40mm base, and you will tell your opponent, this is my Apothecary Biologis.
Is that legal from a tournament perspective?
Compliance is free, Scribe. eBay is for fools. As long as the base size is correct, and do not fail me on the base size or I will have you servitorized into a doorstop, it is tournament legal.
Yeah.
The Biologist is on a 40mm base. The standard Apothecary is on a 40mm base. We do not pay the scarcity surcharge. We kit bash. We adapt. We overcome fiscal stupidity.
Understood. 40mm base, white helmet, Frankenstein strategy approved.
Good. Now, the civilian had one more piece of questionable advice regarding firepower. The Hellblasters. What did he say?
Yes. Auspex praises them, he says they have, quite well-rounded damage, and if they get shot down, they get the consolation prize of firing off some shots in death. He calls it a consolation prize.
Consolation prizes are for losers, Scribe. Only a civilian plans for failure. Only a fool sees his own assets exploding as a prize.
But surely the ability to fire on death is a powerful tactical advantage.
It is a hazardous gamble, a liability. Refer to Section 7 of my report, the Hazard Audit. Explain the keyword hazardous on Supercharged Plasma in 10th edition. How does it function?
In previous editions, a hit roll of a 1 meant the model was instantly slain. In 10th edition, you resolve all the shooting, and then you must take a hazardous test for each model that fired a hazardous weapon. You roll a d6. On a 1, a model is destroyed.
Exactly. You shoot.
Yep.
You feel powerful. Then the phase ends. You roll the test. You fail. You lose 3 models from your squad. That is 60 credits of plastic removed from the table by your own hand. Self-inflicted attrition.
It does sound risky. Unreliable.
It is the gambler's mindset. The Hellblaster player hopes they get lucky. The Auditor does not hope. Compare this liability to the Aggressors of Subject B. What is there for? Toughness versus a Hellblaster's.
The Aggressors are toughness 6, sir. The Hellblasters are only toughness 4.
So the Aggressors are significantly more durable against incoming fire. And do they have the hazardous keyword on their gauntlets?
No, sir, they do not.
So they do not kill themselves. They remain on the board. They continue to be a viable asset. And in the Pariah Nexus meta, what wins games, Scribe? What is the single most important resource?
Action economy, according to the report.
Action economy. The ability to perform the cleanse action. The ability to stand on an objective marker and generate victory points. A dead Hellblaster cannot cleanse. A dead Hellblaster cannot score. A living Inceptor from the Dark Angels box. A living Aggressor from the Death Watch box. They generate victory points. Subject B focuses on gratis stability. Subject A focuses on plasma suicide. The choice is, and always will be, clear.
It seems undeniably logical when you put it that way, sir. Every decision is based on minimizing risk and maximizing return.
Logic is the only currency that matters in the 41st millennium. The fun that this Auspex civilian speaks of, it is a byproduct of winning. It is a byproduct of a perfectly balanced ledger.
The file is fully audited, Senior Auditor. All claims have been processed and cross-referenced against the Unified Field Report.
Good. You know, Scribe, sometimes look at the data file for the Blood Ravens. Really look at it.
The chapter itself, sir.
A chapter without a father. No Primarch they can name with any certainty. No homeworld that hasn't been burned or frozen or lost to the warp. They are scavengers, wandering the stars, picking up the pieces of other people's history, trying to build an identity out of scraps and stolen relics.
It is a tragic existence when you frame it like that.
It's a metaphor. For the player, for the listener, look at them. Trying to build a coherent list in a broken, inefficient retail ecosystem. Trying to find a discount box in a universe of full-price tragedies. We are all just looking for a way to make the numbers work.
We are, all Blood Ravens.
We are all just Blood Raven scribes, stealing a deal here, proxying a model there, hoping that when the dice roll, we don't roll 1.
That is surprisingly poetic, sir.
The moment passed. Do not get used to it.
Of course. My apologies.
Citizens, for the love of the Empire, tap that like button and hit subscribe. Do not make me come back here and audit your engagement metrics again. I have far better things to do than correct your procurement errors.
Shall I close the file, sir?
Dismissed. Pay your tithes, citizens.
Yes, sir.
And scribe.
Sir.
File a 77B for that damn fan. It's giving me a headache.